So of late, there has been some growing concerns and demands for the true identity of aliens. Are they real? Do they exist? Are they who the government say they are? Based on the bits and pieces of information out there, they haven't done any justice to the demands of the people. However, we can begin to, take a look at what the Bible says about these beings. And so these officials are out here demanding for the true identity of who the aliens are. The Bible does not categorically state aliens. What we will find is the devil, fallen angels, and demons. These are the entities that have inhabited this earth, and the Bible warns against them. Welcome back on Life with the Word. I'm Charity Daniel, and this is a channel where we're very intentional with our spiritual growth. I want to encourage you to please kindly like and subscribe and share, and always let us know your thoughts in the comment section before we get into the video. Please click the like button for the algorithm.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for attending this historic event. My name is James Fox. I've been investigating UFO cases, now referred to as UAP, across the globe for over 30 years. And I've directed 7 feature-length documentaries on the subject. In recent years, Congress has held multiple public hearings on UAP, which is a dramatic shift towards transparency. Thanks to many members of Congress, the issue is now being taken very seriously. We, the people, are finally hearing accounts in a credible setting from first-hand U.S. military personnel about highly advanced unknown craft that fly rings around our frontline fighter jets. With President Trump's unprecedented directive to release UAP files, we are seeing more and more of these type of craft captured on various government sensors, and I'm told this is just the beginning. One of the aspects to the phenomenon that's spoken about with less frequency are close encounters of the third kind. Reporting by witnesses of entities of non-human sentient beings connected to the craft. Don't take it from me. Some of these reports come directly out of the United States Air Force's own files. In fact, the very scientist who coined the phrase close encounters of the third kind investigated cases for the United States Air Force from 1947 to 1969, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. According to Hynek, it was cases like those that the United States Air Force desperately tried to keep secret, because it's one thing to try and confuse the public with weather balloons and swamp gas, and another entirely different when dealing with credible reports of non-human beings on the ground. I personally investigated one such case for over 16 years. The case occurred in Varginha, Brazil in 1996 and involves dozens of first-hand reports of UAP and direct contact with living, intelligent, non-human beings who, according to multiple Brazilian witnesses, were flown out of Brazil to the United States in January of 1996. Recently, the former Brazilian Ministry of Defense, Aldo Rebelo, confirmed the incident occurred and stated, if the U.S. disclosed information on this case, then we in Brazil could do the same.
Even with the declassification of the files over time, it hasn't done any justice to what people would want to really know. And that is why we're going to be talking about the root of all of these things from the Bible today. Now, the Bible talks about the devil or Satan, who originally was known from the heavens as Lucifer. And Lucifer means the light bearer, who is utmost beautiful, who was arrayed by God, to a very high ranking level, and based on his appearance and the authority that he walked with, that was the prompting of the pride in his mind. Now, Jesus tells us in Luke chapter 10, verse 18, he said, I beheld Satan fall from heaven. So this is the beginning of the fall of the devil because of the rebel he had against God. The Bible mentions to us in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 to 9, it says there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the devil and his angels, and there was no place for them. So, reasons why they were thrown out of heaven, because there was no longer place for them. And in verse 4, we find that the Satan now was addressed as the dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns, who drew the third part of the angels in heaven to the earth. And so, with this, we begin to understand that they are the foreign entities that have been thrown out of the heavenlies to the earth, because there was no more place for them because of their rebellion, and God cast them to the earth. The Bible tells us in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, God didn't spare the angels that sinned against him, for they were cast into hell, placed in chains in darkness until the judgment day. So already we see that the devil has fallen, with the angels, the third part of angels that were thrown along with him. And then we'll begin to think about the ones that we see around. Now, we find in the Bible that the devil has the ability to transform as an angel of light. So it is something that first will be at the back of our minds, that they can transform into an angel of light for the fact that they want to deceive and cause men to disobey the commandments of God. And then we'll begin to think about the ones that God mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, verse 2 and 4. Now, the Bible basically said that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair. So they took them as wives as they chose. And when they procreated, they had giants in those days in the earth because of the interbreeding between the sons of God and the daughters of men. So these populated the saints in the world. And that was one of the promptings of God to destroy the world in those days, sparing Noah. The Bible said that God saw that the wickedness of men became so great that it repented God that he had made man. And so of late, I began to take a study of the origin of demons and evil spirits. Now, we see that when those giants in those days were destroyed, they become disembodied, and their spirits were all over in the air, that what they do is to seek bodies to inhabit, to possess, to manifest their evils in the world, because they were hybrids of men and sons of God. However, the true angels, even though they had fallen, still had the ability to transform as the angels of light. And so that is the reason why we see that these beings are still in this world. And based on certain experiences of those who have encountered them, they say that they do not even speak to people with physical communication. With telepathy, they can pass their messages. I remember that a couple of years ago, there was one I encountered in my dream. And the image I saw, which I fought with, was exactly one of the images that was released by the government, which I'm going to put in here. Was one of these images, this particular one here, which I have cycled, is the one I basically fought with in the dream. And so you can encounter them in your dreams. And that is why the Bible tells us in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So this is the biblical origin of these beings who have infiltrated the world, that we want to understand their true existence that these officials are talking about. Let us continue the video.
Mr. President, I am respectfully requesting that you declassify and release all files related to this case and others like it. We the people have a right to know. Reality should not be classified. Thank you.
You know, I talked to the president about this issue, and he kept his word to me. He kept his word, and I think that's important. But I think we also need to remember, too, when I'm sitting in a skiff and some little punk in a man bun tells me the president's on a need-to-know basis, folks, that ought to tell you right there what we're up against. We're up against corruption. We're up against a cover-up. This thing's been covered up at least since 1947. Dadgummit, the public deserves the right to know. It's your dadgum tax dollars. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist. This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them. Look, we got one or two bites at this apple. Please be careful about the false information that's coming out of Washington on all this stuff. Trust your gut. You know what's right. You know they exist. You know this has been a cover-up since before most of y'all been born. Thank y'all so much. Let's keep fighting for the truth. And thank you, Donald Trump, for keeping your word to me. And you all deserve to be in that skip with us. We shouldn't be the gatekeepers, and none else of these jugheads up here should either. All right? Let's get at it. Thank y'all.
One of the things that changed is the quality and the caliber of people who are coming forward who have served our military, decorated people with the experience, airline pilots, and the technology in our hands, and the technology that our military has. That's what's changed. And what's also changed is we started asking questions, very simple questions. And this is what got me interested in the topic. We would ask questions, and they would then push back. And we would ask more questions, and the pushback became more significant. We would try to put language in an amendment, in a bill, and they would oppose it. They would secretly go to the chairman of committees to strip that language out. And that became clear to us that they were hiding something. And so listen, I don't know what the full truth is, but I know we're being lied to. And the American people know that also. And so look, the time for disclosure is now. Disclosure today, disclosure tomorrow. The American people have a right to know. We know about these advanced technology programs. We know they come out of Area 51. They did when we went to kill Osama bin Laden with an advanced technology helicopter that Congress never funded. There's trillions of dollars missing at the Pentagon. Where does that money go? And so it's time for the government to come forward. And what we need is we need your help. All of you here. I get asked this question by people in my community more than anything else. What does the government know, and why aren't they telling us? The American people can handle it. They can handle it. I trust them. And it's time that we tell them the truth.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat?
And more secure for you and your children. I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
Maybe I'd answer it this way. I keep, in my frustration sometimes, you know, actually, if you count some of the things going on in smaller countries and all, there have been about 114 wars since World War II. But I've often wondered, what if all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet? Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat?
Even the testimonies we've seen in Congress under oath of whistleblowers, former military personnel, former intelligence officers, all saying that they've got alien body parts and crash saucers and reverse engineered technologies. So if they're saying we have it, to then have some documents that basically say the same thing, it becomes less interesting to me, given that we had high-ranking officials saying what is fundamentally the same thing. Now, what's different, of course, in recent years is you go back decades ago, the accounts of aliens were like the farmers in the back 40, revelers from the bar just let out. And so you had plausible deniability of any of those accounts. But when you have high-ranking officials talking about it, then you say, okay, let me even give them that. Okay? So from my perspective as a scientist, testimony does not count as evidence. Evidence is evidence. So if you've got it, just bring out the alien. Is that too much to ask, given all of these files and everything else? Oh, by the way, I would expect with $1 trillion budget or whatever it is today, the Pentagon would investigate unknown flying objects. And of course they would make them top secret. And if it's top secret, it's not a cover-up.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
What is very important to take note of is the fact that these angels were actually transformed from their original nature to a different kind of personality, which became evil and unclean. Now, we see the transformation of Lucifer, who is the devil, to a great dragon, as the Bible refers to him in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 to 9. Also in verse 4, referred to as the dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. So it shows us that they became transformed to evil beings, which we see today. They are actually responsible for the fear, the chaos, the deceitfulness that occur in the world, because that's what the Bible says, that devils are out in the world to deceive people. The devil come not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Jesus has come that we should have life, have it more abundantly. This is the perspective that we should have from the Bible, irrespective of whatever the government is saying concerning these non-human beings, that they are UFOs or UAPs or whatnot. They are actually descendants from heaven who have rebelled against God, whose personalities have changed even from the inside to the outside. They became evil beings, unclean spirits, that the Bible says in Revelations, spirits, unclean spirits that look like locusts and frogs will be released into the world for various kinds of activities that they are going to be doing. There are some that are also tied up at the river Euphrates that will be revealed at the end of time for the war of Armageddon. These are the things that will find relatable to these beings that they talk about. So we must understand that they are outright demons and devils which were cast out from heaven and disembodied hybrids and became these beings that we are talking about as UFOs or UAPs or non-human beings. This is the coming of the lawless one. When we look at the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 from verse 9, it says the coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with the works of Satan. So Satan, the devil, the great dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns, is the head of all of these non-human species that we are talking about. And all they have to serve is a lie and deceitfulness that lies ahead. Whatever wonders and miracles that is said to do according to the Bible will only take many away from God, because they will begin to associate the power of Jesus unto them. So it is necessary that we understand the difference between the workings of Jesus Christ of Nazareth and the workings of Satan. And you can only obtain this by your ability to become grounded in the things of the Lord and having personal relationship with Him. The Bible says from verse 10 that all of this wickedness will deceive those who are perishing. So already for those who will be a prey unto them are those who are already on the path of perishing, who have not loved the truth and to become saved. And so once they come, they're going to embrace them to think that they are whom they have been expecting. It says, for this reason, in verse 11, that he will send them a delusion of the mind so that they can begin to believe the lies because of the fact that they have refused the truth of the word of the Lord to become saved. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on my next video. God bless you.